Now that we know what a public good is, we are going to discuss the optimal provision of public goods. As soon as we know what the optimal level of provision of public goods is, then we can contrast this with private provision of the public good. That's the next topic. And then finally, we can discuss what the government can do about it, namely if the public good is not provided at the optimal level. The simplest way of doing this is by comparing the provision of public goods with the provision of private goods. And that's something that you are very familiar with, and then you can easily see how the public goods case differs from the private goods case. When we are dealing with a private good, and we only have two individuals, Adam and Eve, then we can easily derive demand for this private goods as follows. So we take a certain price, say 11, and price of 11, Adam demands 5, Eve exercises demand of 1, so together at the price of 11 they demand 6 units of the good. If the price is considerably lower, for instance only $1 per piece, then Adam demands 15, Eve 11, so total market demand is simply the summation of their demands. 15 plus 11 is 26. So, putting this into the graph that you're familiar with, here we have Adam's demand curve. So for every price we know how many units Adam demands. Similarly, we have Eve's demand curve. And then through horizontal summation, we can derive market demand. For instance, at a price of 11, Eve demands 2, right? And Adam demands, and we have to go down 5. So, well, actually, Eve demands 1. So 1 plus 5 is going to be 6, right? So, so we horizontally sum demand, and then if we do that at different points, and those are linear lines, so 2 points would actually do, but then we can easily draw the market demand curve, the marginal benefits curve that you're familiar with, and then to derive the optimal level of provision of the private good, we also draw the supply curve, and then where those two cross, that is the optimal provision of the private good, which is at 14, quantity of 14 and a price of 7. Okay, so that is the private goods case, right? For private goods, it holds that for any price, consumers can demand different quantities, and at the Pareto optimal outcome, so after all the trading and also possibly changes in production, then it holds that marginal rate of substitution of Adam is equal to the marginal rate of substitution for Eve, and then we set that equal to the marginal costs. In the private goods case, it looks different because now we have to, if you remember, hacking the marginal benefits curve to two pieces, we have to see how much each individual values a quantity of the public good. So say that we take hours of street cleaning as our example, then Adam values 1 hour of street cleaning by $300, Eve by $250, so together they value hours of street cleaning by $550. It's important to note that this expresses their valuation of the good, and it's not necessarily what they're going to really chip in, right? This is all in the optimal scenario, so that the valuation is also what is going to be determine the quantity provided, whereas that in reality they may well be free rider problems. What we explain, we ignore free riders for now, and then this is the valuation of the public good at every quantity provided. And obviously when we're up to like 4 hours of street cleaning, so the 4th hour of street cleaning is valued lower, not by 300 but only half by Adam, so that's 150. Eve values that by 100, so together they value 4 hours of street cleaning at $250. And as I told you earlier, in the case of public goods, we cannot vary the quantity consumed between individuals, because they all have to consume a similar quantity of the public good, but as you can see, their valuation may well differ. Now, how do we then derive the market demand for this public good? By way of vertical summation, because we now start at the bottom, at the horizontal axis, at a quantity of 1. What is the valuation by Adam? Well, $300, Eve $250, so together $550, right? So we got 1 point of the market demand curve. Then we can derive a second point at a quantity of 2, and then we can do it for a 3rd and 4th, and we can draw the market demand curve by way of vertical summation. So that's different. It's no longer horizontal summation as in the private goods case, but vertical summation. And if we then draw the supply curve and look where the two curves cross, then we know the optimal level of provision of the public goods, and in this case the optimal quantity is 3. So that's how we derive that. And in the case of public goods, the price of the public goods should be equal to the sum of Adam's and Eve's willingness to pay, and their valuation of the public good at that quantity. So it is as if they act as a collective consumer. Right? We hacked the marginal benefit curve into pieces, but now we have to bring it together again. So we have those separate individuals, Adam and Eve, but now we want to add them so that we know collective demand. So that also means that we do no longer set the marginal rates of substitution of any individual equal to the marginal cost, but we sum the marginal rate of substitution of those individuals and set that equal to the marginal cost. So that's the necessary condition for per-unit efficiency, i.e. the optimal provision of public goods is they should be produced until the marginal costs for producers equals the sum of the marginal rates of substitution for all consumers.